Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining everybody for another whiskey review. Today we are going to be talking about what is, as of recording, my favorite bourbon of the year so far in 2024. This is going to remain on my top list probably the rest of the year due to how high this score is. So I'll be revealing the bottle in just a moment. But I will say that this bottle is still obtainable. You could order it online, and I'll give you those details too in just a few minutes. So hang with me if this has piqued your interest. Let's kick off the show. Can't wait to get into this. So today's bourbon is a series that I look forward to with every single release. This is the sixth release in the series, a series that I have been following since 2019. And this series has never let me down. But even with that said, this particular iteration of it is the strongest, I think, maybe since the third series, maybe since the second release. So what we are talking about today is the Four-Gate Kelvin Collaboration 6. This is the latest release. This just came out. I'll tell you where I got this in just a moment. For some of the details on this one, zooming into the bottle, you can read the little cursive handwriting there. But this is a blend of Kentucky straight bourbons. The bourbons in this are about 9 years, and there's 3 different mash bills. It was finished in Portuguese Madeira and dark rum casks. And this is the first time the Four-Gate has with Madeira casks. They said they were really picky about Madeira and they were waiting for some quality casks, and they finally found some, and that's what was then the inspiration for this release. So let me pull up the stats here on the Kelvin 6. So the big thing about this one is going to be the price. The price is $199, which I realize is something that is out of some people's price ranges. Now, I will say if you are looking for a special pour for a special event, this could be it, as it is obtainable. I got this on Sealbach, and I also ordered another one right before hitting record on this video, just to make sure I could get my back up before I go screaming to the rooftops about it. Now, the proof is 115.6, not 155.6. So I definitely fat fingered that one. And the age is 9 years on each of those 3 different mash bills. So got some good age to it, not as old as some of the earlier in this series, but still, when it comes to the bourbon, it is doing some heavy lifting as we go through the tasting notes. So that part of it does stand out to me, but it doesn't have necessarily a rich oak profile. So let's go through the tasting here. I'll be quick on the tasting notes, then we'll get into some final thoughts and the final scores so you can see how high this one ultimately scored on our scoring system. Thank you for joining so far. Cheers, whiskey friends. Oh my gosh. Every time I sit down with this thing, it just elevates itself. It is so rich, dense, decadent. The Madeira cask is actually doing a whole lot of heavy lifting, but the rum cask has its chance to shine. And then the more you sit with it, you catch the bourbon as well. So all 3 of those components are doing a good job melding together, but also getting the spotlight. Almost like they're like one of those bands that has 3 different lead singers, and each one gets a different verse. I guess kind of like the Beastie Boys, and each one gets a verse, and they're all working in unison to create that overall verse and the melody. Whole lot of fruit on this one, probably coming from that Madeira cask. Whole lot of berries. I'll be calling that out a lot. There is a level of spice on this as well. A lot of the bourbons that are in here are high rye, and you can tell that. There's a layer of pepper there too. And then ultimately that rum, I'm attributing to the rum, but it almost brings in a just overall sweetness, like a sweet almond butter. And then the underlying bourbons come out too, kind of like custards and chocolate. So, I mean, all in all, you're going to get a lot of fruit, you're going to get a lot of sweetness, and you're going to get a lot of spice. And that's going to be the primary profile there on the nose. I absolutely adore this nose. This one's getting 2 thumbs up from me. All right. Enough jibber jabbering. Let's get into a taste because, once again, just like the nose, every time I do a tasting of this, it presents itself even better. So, cheers, everybody. Mm. Oh, that's gorgeous. So, mouthfeel is just rich, viscous. You really can't ask for much more. It coats everywhere. I mean, you can even see the mess of this glass here, and I haven't even been swirling this thing. I mean, it just coats and coats and coats. And that's what's going to create a very long finish once we get to that part, too. It doesn't let go. Uh, Even having a conversation recently with another whiskey friend as we were talking about this over the weekend, we had to like stop because it was like we were talking for like 3 or 4 minutes. And I was like, I'm still tasting it. So it is sweet and spicy. I mean, that's going to be the primary profile here. The fruits really do come through. So those berries do continue to come through. But then there's also that rye spice and that pepper. It does kind of slow down a little bit mid palate, where really what kind of like strikes me the most is just this custard, but it kind of takes its foot off the accelerator, if that makes sense. But then into the finish, it slams it back on again. Oh, absolutely delightful though. A lot of vanillas too going on, and the berries up front trying to transition a little bit to an orange. So there's a couple different layers of fruits here. So on the palate, teetered on this one, whether to give it 2 thumbs up or 1 thumbs up. I think just because it takes that foot off the accelerator a little bit there, I'm going to give it 1 thumbs up. But man, I enjoy it each step of the way. So now let's get into the finish. This is where, man, this thing truly shines. Cheers, everybody. Ah, once again, you got that Beastie Boy action. There's 3 lead singers here. You're going to taste that Madeira, you're going to taste that rum, and you're going to taste that bourbon. And it's going to flow into each other. The berries stick out, that wave of fruits. Uh, the bourbon, the main flavor I think that brings is going to be the custard, the rye spice, the pepper. And then the rum brings vanilla and that sweet almond butter. It all just kind of melds itself. And ultimately, and that very extended finish, it ends with vanilla and berries. So lots going on there. But I think what's more impressive just from the technical standpoint is that the finish that is here is immense. I'm still tasting it now. Right now, I'm on the almond butter side of things. I expect to get the vanilla and the berries in about 30 seconds. So it just builds and builds and builds. And in that case, it is one of the more impressive finishes I've had in a while. So I gave this one 2 thumbs up for the finish. Just a fantastic whiskey to sit down with and enjoy with friends. And it's not one of those whiskeys that you're going to have that urge to pound. You can sit back with this one and enjoy it for an entire hour and just take your time with it. So then getting into the scores here, at the end of the day, we have a whole lot of metrics that go on behind the scenes. They get summarized into these 3 categories: flavor, experience, and value. For the flavor score, gave it an 87.5. Experience, gave it a 90. Value, gave it a 90. The value is where I teetered a little bit on how to rate this one on value. Value is, of course, going to be subjective. So you can see this final score and do a +/-2 in your head, depending on how you would rate the value. But the experience and the flavor are what they are. One thing that is interesting, I've got this like opposing philosophies going on. First off, if you can find special whiskey, get special whiskey, especially $200 or less. 200 tends to be my price ceiling, and I haven't gone above that in probably a year and a half to maybe 2 years. But the main conflict I do have on the price with $200 is that we do dabble in a lot of whiskeys that are 60 to 120, And man, they score really well, as they score good as well. So it is, what are you getting for that extra value? Now, in this case, you're getting a whole lot of care on a special pour. And the other thing to kind of keep in mind, I was having a discussion about this recently. The price on 4-Gate actually hasn't moved in 5 years, whereas so many other brands that kind of play in this same segment of the market have upped their prices from 200, then to 220, then to 240. Let's see if we can do 250. 4-Gate has just kind of hovered there around 200 with this Kelvin release since 2019. So I do appreciate that consistency. So ultimately rested on giving it a 9 out of 10 on a value. I also bought a backup, as I said at the beginning of this. So I don't have any issues with the price, but it is $200. So this just might be something that you're going to have to evaluate for yourself, whether you want to buy it for a special pour, whether you want this one in your collection. So then moving on to the final score. Final score does summarize then to an 89. Anything higher than an 85 gets our certified gold badge. So this is one of the few of the year that have been certified gold by us at the channel. Love this pour. And to show that even further, out of everything that I have reviewed so far in 2024, this ranks second out of 25 bottles and 19 out of 177 all time since beginning the scoring system in January of 2023. So, wow, it stands out. It's a standout pour, and I think the metrics here then show that. So, once again, as of recording, this is available on Sealbach. You could order this now if I am enticing you at all. So, that is how I feel about the Kelvin Collaboration 6 here. I am going to be enjoying the rest of this pour as I work on some other stuff for the channel here. But this is just an absolutely delightful pour, and I think I rest my case. So let me know if you have had this yet, or if you're looking forward to this, if you're thinking about getting a bottle. Love to hear what you think about the Kelvin Collaboration series in general, if you've gotten to try it. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. We'll catch you on the next whiskey review. Goodbye, buddy.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you